Okay. So up next, we have Rebecca Cooley. Rebecca is a master coach and integrative practitioner. Rebecca is a master coach and intuitive integrative practitioner with 13 years of experience helping people overcome limiting beliefs, release fear, increase self-compassion, connect more authentically with others, and achieve their dreams. She specializes in life coaching, in interpersonal communication and relationships, career coaching and interview preparation training, and public speaking. In addition to holding a master's degree with a concentration in strategic leadership, Rebecca has learned a diverse range of mind body stress reduction methods for over 25 years, and she has served as a shaman and Reiki master in her community. You can find her at her website, catalystactioncoaching.com, and her topic for today is breaking free, releasing limiting beliefs. Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Thanks, Mariella. So good to be here. So welcome, beautiful people. So today we're going to be talking about breaking free from limiting beliefs. And the first thing I'm going to have you do is go ahead and get outside the box immediately and close your eyes.
Okay.
So with your eyes closed, just settle into your body, settle into yourself. Just let anything that's keeping you from this moment, from this present moment, to just drift away and melt away from you. And just imagine and bring to your attention a box. Just consider a box. Think about a box. And when you think about this box, think of its edges and its form, the walls of the box, and how the box serves as a container to hold things in. And just imagine that in addition to the box, you can imagine that there's something inside that goes to the edges of the inside of the box. There's something the box is holding in. Now imagine that the walls of this box begin to disappear. And imagine that there is no box at all. So what happens to the thing that the box was containing? The thing held within the box, the contents. When there are no edges and no form, what happens to the contents? Do they spill out? Do they explode? When they're no longer contained or held in, do they become larger? Do they take on a different shape? Or perhaps do they become even shapeless? What happens to the contents when there's nothing to hold them in? When they have a little bit more freedom to be in their original state? So staying inward and keeping this idea of the box. Now imagine another box. And inside this box, strangely enough, you are inside this box, this next box. Now, for some of you that are claustrophobic, this may be a little bit challenging. So just stick with it, it'll go really fast. Imagine that you're inside this box, and each wall and edge of this box are your beliefs. And you, the true you, is contained within the four walls of your box. Again, the walls and the edges of your box are your beliefs. They make up the walls of your box. Now imagine that the edges and the walls of your box begin to disappear. Imagine that there is no box at all. Are you still there, even without the edges and the walls of your box? What does it feel like to exist without edges, without walls, without form? Notice what happens when you permit yourself to tear down your walls and break free. What is it like to not be contained? What shape do you take? What does it feel like to be expansive and free? So today, my friends, we're going to talk about breaking free some of those walls, and you can open your eyes.
That was
Alright.
awesome. That was pretty powerful.
We're going to talk about breaking down some of those walls. And we're going to talk about breaking free from limiting beliefs that create our box. And
Mhm.
and eventually we're going to get to the place where we're stepping into that feeling of freedom. And we're going to talk about that today. What does it feel like to step into that feeling of freedom? So we're going to go on this journey together. It's a very short journey, just a little journey, but we're going to cover some important topics, some examples of what a limiting belief is. Some of us aren't really clear about what a belief is. And so we're going to talk about that and some of the impacts of those limiting beliefs. We're going to talk about some strategies for breaking free from limiting beliefs and finding new ways of living outside the box and stepping into that freedom. So I'm excited about our little journey together. So just a little bit of a story. Since I was about 13 years old, I can remember very distinctly some of those hardened beliefs that I had when I was 13 years old, beliefs about myself, about the world, about others. These beliefs were certainly things that motivated and propelled my actions, how I interacted with people, how I interacted with myself, the self-loathing and the feelings of insecurity and self-consciousness. So there was a lot of hardened, rigid beliefs around myself, the world, and others, and my place in the world. And that informed a lot of my experiences. So not only my experiences in interpersonal relationships, but also what I did and didn't do. Perhaps I wanted to be a part of a group at school. I wouldn't. I would hold back and keep myself contained. And it was within that box. Yeah. It was within that box that I lived for such a long time. And so along the way and through my journey, some of those walls began to shed and began to break through, sometimes sledgehammers, sometimes quickly, sometimes very slowly. But in time, and I continue to break down walls that shape the box that I exist in, or that I think I exist in. So when I'm working with my partners over the last 13 years, I've noticed that a lot of what's holding them back, same way it was holding me back, was a lot of my those attachments that they were having to their beliefs. And about themselves, about others, about the world, about their situation, about their capacity, their capabilities, their potential. And so a lot of the work that I do with them is about breaking down those walls and breaking down those beliefs and breaking free. And that's my joy. That's my joy in life. And I feel like my experience of personal freedom is not something I can keep to myself. I have to share that. And it's not a quick journey. It's a lifelong journey, and it continues for me. And I don't put up any illusions about that. It's continuing. It's a continuing process. So let's talk about what beliefs are. So sometimes my clients aren't really clear about what beliefs are, my partners. So I have defined beliefs as hardened thoughts. So when we have a repeated thought that we're very convinced is true, it becomes a hardened thought. It becomes rigid and immobile. It's very stern. So these are rigid ideas, rigid views, perspectives that create our identity, and they create, what's that? I'm sorry, Matt, did you say something?
I'm following. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, these rigid beliefs, they basically create our identity. They create our concept of ourselves and who we are in this world and how we function and how we will function and what our future is. And they're based on things from the past. They're based on things that are currently happening for us. They get really solid and solidified, if you can imagine, something that was liquid at one time when it's a baby thought. And then over time, with continual thinking about it and continual practice with it and continual belief in it, it becomes hardened and thick. And it's very hard to move once it becomes very thick. But that doesn't mean it's impossible to break free from it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So these beliefs shape our lives. They determine what we do, what we don't do, what we say, what we don't say. When we get offended, when we decide to separate ourselves from people, we create those identities and say, I don't want to be around them. I like them. I don't like them. They not only do they create judgments around ourselves, but they also create judgments around others in this world. And It may be even those beliefs that will dictate whether or not you apply for the job, go on the date, go for the choir, whatever it is, speak up, speak your mind. It's those beliefs that actually dictate what you do and don't do. And so it's very, very important. And I can't stress it enough. I think it's one of the most important things is to identify what those beliefs are. So just some examples that I've heard over the years that I've said to myself, that I've, working on and worked through, breaking through, and that I continue to hear from my partners. And we're working through, breaking through. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm a fake. I don't have what it takes. I don't belong at the table. I have to do X, Y, Z before I can do that, before I can apply for that job, before I can go to college, before I can do this, do that. I have to lose X amount of weight before I go on the date or go to the wedding, right? That person isn't good enough for me, or that person is ignorant. I could never be friends with that person. I have to make X amount of money to feel valuable or for my family to respect me. No one cares what I have to say. I don't matter. That person is wrong, evil, or bad, or I am wrong, evil, or bad. So these are examples of beliefs, and we all carry beliefs with us. And sometimes they can sneak in, even, a mind that believes that, oh no, I have no beliefs. I worked through all my shadow work. I've done everything that there is. I can guarantee you there's going to be something that sneaks in, and, I hope not, but there's going to be something that sneaks up and sneaks in, and you're going to battle with it. And it's okay. It's okay, because this is part, I feel, of the human experience, to identify everything that's holding us back from our true nature and shedding it so that we can truly be expansive and free. So one of the first steps is just knowing what those beliefs are that you carry around with you. What are the walls that make up your box? What are your limiting beliefs? And how do you continue that cycle of boxing yourself in with your own limiting beliefs? Because I can guarantee you, you are not meant to be boxed in. None of you, none of us. So we understand those beliefs that shape our lives, and we begin to see the impact and the effect it can have on us. And we all know what those impacts are, right? When we continuously tell ourselves, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. How does that make us feel? It makes us feel tiny and small, insignificant and powerless, helpless and hopeless and despairing. I mean, this is serious. To understand how our repeated thoughts and our repeated beliefs that we tell ourselves on a daily basis, it's not a small thing. And I have how can I say it? It makes me emotional to hear the amount of suffering, that not only, that my partners, sometimes my friends, those things that they repeat to themselves, because if they could see what I see, they wouldn't. If they wouldn't, they would not. And so we know it keeps us small. We know it keeps us limited, boxed in, suffocated, confined, shut in. It perpetuates that guilt and that shame, right? Guilt being, I do things wrong, I make mistakes, and then shame being, I'm no good, I'm bad, I'm evil, right? Guilt, shame. So those limiting beliefs, the impact and the effect is significant, because we have a culture of shame. We do over here in America, in the West, there's a culture of shame. And, sometimes people are told that it's not okay to be big. It's not okay to be free and silly and themselves, that they need to fit a certain criteria. They need to fit a certain box, a certain mold, and they work their whole lives, and not just we, it's a collective thing. We work our whole lives to fit inside that box so that we can be the perfect mother, the perfect daughter, the perfect spouse, the perfect employee. And we do everything so that we can, and it makes sense. There always is a reason why we do these things. And the reason is, we want to receive the love, recognition, respect that we know we need as a human being, as a being that needs connection. So we think that that's the way to go about it. And it makes sense. It does. So we offer ourselves compassion. All right, so going back to the effects and the impact. So some questions to ask yourself. And again, not a lot of time to kind of go over this, but if you want to jot down a couple, that's okay. What is the effect on you for being boxed in? What is keeping you small? How do you keep yourself small? How do you keep yourself limited? How are you boxed in? And what is that heavy burden that you may feel? What are some of those walls? So we're understanding the beliefs and what that is, and now we're understanding, okay, what is the impact? Let's go ahead and look at how do we break free. So we've done the work to identify the beliefs, identify the walls that make up your box, and you're going to continue to do this work for a lifetime. This is not over. It's continual forever. So the next thing is offer yourself compassion. There was a reason that those walls were created for your box. There was a reason that they were built. And that box, you put that box around you to protect you, to keep you safe, or to mold you, or to get the love that you felt you needed in that way. There's a reason. And so explore those reasons. When the beliefs arise, another way to break free, when the beliefs arise, notice them, be vigilant, sit with them, and challenge them. Sometimes challenge them, sometimes pivot them, sometimes just sit with them, investigate them, learn more. Another thing you can do is just poke holes in it, like, okay, really? Is that really true? Is that really true? And you can just argue with yourself about a belief that comes up. Is it really true?
I do that all the time.
Yeah. Is it really true that I'm not good enough? Is it really true that I'm not good enough? I don't think so. I don't think that's true for anybody.
Yeah, that's definitely a good question. To question yourself, it's guru territory. It's like, yeah, you're entering into that different realm in there.
Exactly. So perhaps one day, in moments of meditation or moments of prayer or moments of continual practice, perhaps you'll have these glimpses where you realize that there are actually no walls or edges at all, right? And the goal, I don't feel, I think a lot of us talk about enlightenment and as this like perpetual state. And I'm not certain, I don't have the answers. I don't know what enlightenment is or nirvana, but I do know that there are moments that we can experience edgelessness and formlessness where we are expansive and free, and just enjoy those moments and realize that those moments could be spontaneous or they could be through vigilant work, vigilant practice, or effortless practice. So don't hold on or get attached to that edgelessness or that wall, that formlessness. Don't get attached to that. I need to have that. I need to achieve that. I need to get there. Just let that go too. All right, so I have some questions there, but I'm just going to ask you one main question for this one, which was relating to breaking free from limiting beliefs. What will you do to allow yourself to be pulled forward by your new way of being? What will you do to allow yourself to be pulled forward? After you've shed the walls or you've looked at it and if you've done your practice, how will you allow yourself to be pulled forward? All right, so so let's talk about that a little bit. So one of the ways that we can be pulled forward into a new way of being, right? So we're shedding our walls and we're shedding our edges and we're kind of shedding that form that have boxed us in, but for a good reason. And now we're ready to kind of like maybe explode out or spill out or spread out or spread our wings, however you want to look at it, whatever works for you. Then we need to understand, what is it that we're spreading? Who is it that we're spreading? Who is it and what is it part of our heart, our mind, our psyche, our spirit? What is coming out of that box? And to really connect with that is to just find new ways of living that don't keep you boxed in, that don't need those walls and that container. So this is where you become a student of yourself. And that's so fun. It's so fun. You get to understand what brings you joy, what fires you up, what's exciting to you, who excites you, who brings you joy. You get to understand what makes you smile, your special gift, how you want to be big in this world, how you want to be expansive. And, what you get to understand what makes you feel free and what gives you a great sense of peace. You get to understand, what makes you feel silly and playful. you get to know yourself. And it's such a beautiful part of this journey of breaking free is, it's the harder part, the difficult look, and then this reconnection with self and spirit or heart, where you get to say, this is what I'm exploding into. This is what's coming out of my box. And it's such a beautiful experience. Yeah.
It is. In the way you say it, it's I think it's very important to also add that it's almost like a process of destruction, because you start and that's why you say, to have self-compassion is so important, because through the process of rediscovering who you truly are, you get to know and see and understand that what you like, you don't like because you like it because somebody else told you is good. And then when you start exploring what is it you truly like, or what is it you truly love, you discover something else. It's almost like a process of, destruction. It's like the person that I used to be is false. So that self-compassion is so important in this process.
Yeah. Because without that self-compassion, we tend to hate on that person that we were.
Exactly.
And that person that we were, or that person that needed the box, it deserves so much love and so much kindness. And so now we discover who we are without those edges and who we are outside the box. And that's the freeing process. That's the breaking free process. So the last part here of what we're going to talk about is how to step into that freedom. So just briefly, how do you step into that? So you do that work, and again, lifetime of work. But the ultimate idea would be just to live without edges, to live as much as possible without those limiting beliefs, to live as much as possible without that inner critic constantly poking at you and hurting, and maybe, even harming you.
Yeah.
Offering compassion for that inner critic also. I feel honestly that we're all born to explode and be like supernovas. I believe that we're meant to be expansive and free. I feel like that's our truest nature. And I feel like we already are. There are just things that are kind of, again, boxing us in, holding us in, and it's just meant to just dissolve. So just one final thought here, a couple of final thoughts. So I feel that life is a game of perspectives. And if we let one perspective get too hard, too solid, that's the beliefs. It becomes an edge that creates the box that boxes us in. So we're simply not meant to be boxed in.
Okay.
So be free.
That's awesome. So what do you have to say to the people that think that they cannot quiet that inner critic? Because I know, like, it comes so fast, and you live so enclosed with that inner critic that it almost seems like it's you, and it happens so often that you don't even notice it's your inner critic, and it just comes up, and right away it takes you away from where you should be focusing your attention.
Sure. So the idea here would be, if it comes up, and as it does, and then it takes you away kind of with it, because you're not sure that you're not sure if it's not you or if it's not truth. So at the moment that you're able to see that that's what's happened, that's the moment for you to step in. That's the moment for each of us to step in at whatever moment it happens. And with practice, it begins to happen closer and closer and closer to the originating point. Right? And so we begin to see, oh, look where my mind went. Or, oh, there's my belief. Or, oh, okay, hello, old friend. There you are, my old friend of I'm not good enough, And so just offering it compassion when it does happen, when you do realize it, and just say, okay, hello, old friend. I know you. We've had a lifelong relationship. Let's sit down, hand on heart. Let's figure out why you showed up today. Let's figure you out.
That's
resistance, no effort.
That's great advice.
Just
really
love.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah. So now that we're here, we have just a few minutes left. What are your programs? How can we find you? Because I know there's a lot of people that they want to break free and they need that extra help, because doing it ourselves, yeah, we can do it. We have the guidance, the spiritual guidance, but having that support, that person that I don't want to say cheerleader, but that person that lead us with that cheerfulness in our path is very important. So how can we find you?
Yeah, I hope that I am a cheerleader to people. I hope that is how they consider me. That would be so wonderful. It would be a joy to be considered a cheerleader. My website is catalystactioncoaching.com. And I offer small services, as small as 30 minutes, custom guided meditations, up to 3-month coaching programs. And that information can be found on my website, again, catalystactioncoaching.com. And there's a link on there for a free 30-minute consultation if somebody wants to just contact me and talk to me, share what's going on, and work through some strategies for moving forward. So yeah, it's up there on the front page.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And one last thing, if you can, because 2020 has been a crazy year and we're going into 2021, what will be your best advice for all the people that seem even more now with 2020, they feel constrained? If before they have limiting beliefs, with 2020, they feel worse. Like, what can they do? What would be the main thing for them?
The main thing for them to do, can you say that again? The main thing for them to do to break free?
Yeah. What would be the best practice for them? Where can they start more than anything?
I think the best place to start is actually just offering compassion to yourself. And whenever any of those thoughts arise for you, like the I'm not good enough, or I don't belong here, or whatever, I'm too scared to speak up, just notice and be with it. Just be with it.
That's good. Thank you. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Now, let's do your raffle.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your giveaway. Your giveaway is a first coaching session. It's a 90-minute introduction session. It includes identifying goals and challenges, receiving guided visualization to create powerful affirmations. So if you would pick a number from 1 to 102 and pick the winner, because the winner's here.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, and just so you know, it's a first coaching session, but it's a standalone session as well. So you don't have to continue on if you don't want to.
Good to know.
Yeah. So